So OCI stands for on-campus interview. It's only one part of the actual recruitment process. I know we tend to use it as like the term for the entire process, but it's only one part. It's step one. It's the on-campus interviews. And not every firm actually does OCIs, but they still might be participating in the formal recruit. So it's usually, so again, I can only speak for University of Ottawa, but it's a number of employers who usually come to 1 or 2 days of on-campus interviews. Ours was done at like a convention center, and your interviews are about 17 minutes, give or take, and it sort of feels like speed dating in a way. You're literally being herded in and out of these rooms, of these little curtained, they're not even rooms, they're just literally side by side, so you can hear the people beside you. And then if you're successful in the OCI process, those employers will select their top however many, maybe 5, 10, maybe 20, and they'll call you in for in-firms. And in-firms or in-offices are usually a couple of weeks after, depending on where your school falls in the OCI process. And that's sort of where you meet everyone at the firm or these offices, and then hopefully we'll get a job. But again, the OCI aspect of it, the on-campus interview, is just these 17-minute interviews. And again, like not every employer does it. It's usually the firms that are larger because they have the resources to, send different employees for these interviews. Like because we were in Ottawa, larger firm, it was usually larger firms. They would, fly out their employees to come out and do these interviews. But I applied to firms that were part of it and not part of it. And for a couple of them, I was successful with the OCI process to go into infirm, and then some of them actually just called me strictly for infirm. But yeah, it's a lot, and it kind of goes back. If there are employers that are part of this process that you want to apply to, I think Jeremy talked about this earlier, like research is a huge part of the OCI process and your interview prep. And I think for those of us who potentially are, let's say, you mentioned this earlier, less extroverted, this is the best time to like utilize your career center. Again, I can only speak for you, Ottawa, but I found that maybe because of the counselors that I worked with, like they were very helpful in prepping me for the OCI process. And I did prep, like I did mock interviews, I had my resume and cover letter looked at. I like spoke to a lot of upper years who worked at these firms or who had done the OCI process already. And my career center actually linked me with these students. And I would literally sit with them, and they would tell me what questions they received for infirms, what to expect. So it is a lot of preparation. And for those who are considering participating in the OCIs or the formal recruit, you just have to remember it takes up a lot of time out of maybe like your studying time as well. And for me, because I had to travel to Toronto, it did take a few days from school. But most professors are quite understanding. But yeah, it is an exhausting process. But there are some amazing employers who do participate in this process. So if that's what you're looking for, it is a good opportunity. But like I mentioned before, it's not your only option. There are many other employers who hire outside of this process.